Hey, it's Jessica Plamondon with Royal LePage Atlantic, and of course with the Fall River and Area Business Association. I am going to start a series of interviews where I'm interviewing our wonderful board members with FRABA. So today we have Jennifer Ried with Merida Law. She is a partner and owner, and they are located at 1330 Fall River Road, Suite 102. Also known as the Big Green Building with Mango Nails and the Fall River Dentistry Clinic. So welcome, Jennifer. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me, Jessica.
Amazing. So would you mind giving, I guess, the Fall River and Area members a description of your business?
Sure. So we are a small general practice law firm. So we offer a variety of legal services for whatever might be needed in the community and surrounding areas. I practice primarily family law, and I also do family law mediation work. And we also offer services in property, real estate transactions, wills and estates, and probate, as well as some small business corporate commercial work.
Amazing. All right.
Mhm.
Now, what made you decide to open this business? Because you opened right in the like very recently.
We
What made
did,
you
yeah.
decide to open in Fall River?
So yeah, we've been open for about a year and a half now. Hillary and Katie are the other two partners, and the three of us sort of found each other working together and realized we worked really well together, and saw a great opportunity to both work together and work in a great community where we were already a little bit established. We really love this area, and saw an opportunity to provide a service to this community that this community could benefit from.
Awesome. Right on. Now, why did you choose to become a lawyer? What was it about about law that drew you? Because that's a long road to travel.
It's a long road. I think it's a road that started when I was younger. Probably my family knew that I was on that path before I did. I think it really is something that fit in terms of my personality and my skill set. And I kind of just graduated into it over time and through a long schooling process and articling, which is like the apprenticeship year that lawyers do, figured out that family law was the best area for me. And that's really about helping people get through a very difficult time in their lives that can be quite complex in terms of the legal issues, and trying to provide that support and working one-on-one with people and helping them through that experience, and hope that they come out the other side with their interests protected and as unscathed as possible.
I was going to ask you another question, but just hearing what you're saying, that I would like to kind of change tracks. So we've
Sure.
obviously seen a lot of need for your profession since the pandemic.
Yeah.
Have you seen a big change in your business since COVID?
I have. Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of things that have happened somewhat in connection with or as a result of COVID that are really a shame. But the reality is that we have seen an increase in separations and divorces, at least in my practice, and really trying to support people through that. And there's some different considerations as well in separation and divorce that I've noticed come out of the pandemic, in particular, which kind of ties into your field. Changes in the market, and in how we value property for the purpose of either dividing it, for example, and division of assets and debts, or if one person wants to stay in the home, how you value the home for the purpose of balancing out those assets and debts or buying the other person out. That's become more complex. And I mean, maybe you can speak to that a little bit in terms of the changes you've seen in the market as a result of the pandemic as well.
Yeah, that's a really great question. Like at the end of the day, the rising tide floats all boats, and we've seen an increase across the board of $200,000 in property values in HRM
Wow.
in the last 2 years. So, you know, and like I've had clients who have been, or having appraisals on their homes for other reasons, where they had two different appraisals come in, and there was a gap of $500,000. So, at the end of the day, we're all professionals. So both of those appraisers were. I'm a professional as well. And when I come in to do a market evaluation for a seller or for a homeowner,
Mhm.
What I do is I pull comparable sales for that area. So there's no point comparing, Sackville and Fall River. I look at strictly Fall River homes. But in the last 2 years, we've seen a decrease in the volume. So sometimes it gets a little bit tricky. You do want to be comparing apples to apples as much as possible, but sometimes you have to pull in some other variables. So it is a little
Mhm.
bit it's it's a numbers game for sure, but then there's a little bit of artistry as well. You have to kind of figure out, well, okay, this house is on this hill and this house is on this lake. There's differences there. So when I go in to do a market evaluation, I'm pulling comparable active listings, because that's when somebody comes out to the area to see one house, they're not just going to see one house, they're going to see two, maybe three. At least I advise people to do that. So
Mhm.
you get a comparison for property values. And when it comes to, one of your comments was some homes are selling above list and some homes are selling below list.
Right.
You're right. And, sometimes I can pull up in front of a house and the client doesn't even want to go inside of it because the curb appeal,
Hmm.
or else maybe it's dated. I always say is it Instagram worthy? And that's one of our jobs as a realtor, is to make sure that it's photo ready. So what most of us do is we'll start with a staging consultation, and then professional photography to make sure that it looks really good online. And from there, you want to get as many eyeballs on the property as you can. So so it can be tricky, to your point about if somebody wants to stay in the home, it's my
Right.
job. In fact, I'm required by law to bring the best deal for the client. That doesn't always mean the most money. It means the best deal.
Right.
So if one partner wants to stay in the home, they don't want it to assess at a high number. They want it to assess at a low number.
Mhm.
And that's when I have to sit down with the book and be like, okay, well, this is the property. This is what we would market it at. And there's certainly strategies there for getting as many eyes on the property, but it can be tricky if one person wants to stay in the home for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we see that, if I'm representing a couple that's separating that owns a home in terms of that decision of whether to stay in the home or sell, the recommendation I'm giving is to gather as much information as possible. But sometimes that can be challenging still to arrive at a number, like you said, in the conditions you're talking about in this market. If the bank appraisal, which the bank might require for the purpose of remortgaging, for example, comes back different from what you could get for it if it sells on the market. So I think the takeaway from that is it's important, if you're a person that's in that situation, to get the legal advice and to get the advice from maybe a realtor and talk to your bank and try to gather all that information so that when you come to the negotiating table, the goal is that you can arrive at a number, an agreement, a decision that both you and your partner or ex-partner can agree on and move forward without the need for any kind of nasty litigation process. Because family law doesn't always have to be nasty or litigious. It doesn't always have to go to court. Most often it doesn't. Most people are able to settle things by negotiation. But obviously, if it needs to go to court, that's a service we can provide. But our first goal is to try to help people resolve it as amicably as possible. And a big part of that is like that information gathering, which is why sometimes we turn to you as a realtor if we need to know what's the market doing today, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm always happy to provide that information, of course. I kind of went off on a tangent there, so I apologize.
So did I. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now, what is something that most people don't know about the business?
Well, I think that's like I just said, that people often think of lawyers maybe as being needed only when we're going into some sort of major dispute or when you need to go to court, in particular family law, and that's not the case. Our goal is to try to resolve things amicably and by negotiation as much as we can. And a big part of that is just providing you with that guidance to get you through the process that can be complicated, so that you're aware of all of the legal implications to the decisions that you have to make and all of the options that you have. But it doesn't have to be a very litigious process, like I said. But again, we can provide that service as well if it's needed. Of course, if you're doing, I'm talking about family law, we do a lot of real estate and property work, and generally we refer to that area as sort of more the happy law.
Yeah.
You're usually happy when you're getting to own a home for the first time, or when you're selling. That the lawyers do a lot of that happy law work as well, as helping people through any other difficult times in their lives. For example, when you have the death of a loved one, we can help you through that probate and estate process. So we do provide that full service.
And something else that just popped into my mind, because I tell this to every young couple that I'm working with, if they're
Mm-hmm.
even if they're married, even if they're buying a house and they're living together, I always holler, we want prenup. Like I remember I think it's so good. Like even if you're I remember as a teenager when JFK Jr. and Jacqueline Bissett Kennedy were getting married. And the pictures of them were out at Martha's Vineyard enjoying their lives while the lawyers were negotiating the prenup. And I just thought, that is so smart. Let
Yeah,
the lawyers figure that out. I mean, you can go play golf and drink wine. Like,
yeah. I mean, and that's very true, and it's good advice. I mean, as lawyers, obviously we're biased, but we do think, prenups, or we call them marriage contracts or cohabitation agreements,
I had a cool
are,
agreement. Yeah. It was
yeah,
just written on paper between he and I one night after 2 martinis, but it outlined our lives and each of
yeah.
our expectations.
It's really never a bad idea, just like we say that everybody, should have a will. That's also something that, yeah, a lot of people
No,
don't have.
we'll be
And
talking about that soon.
if something happens and you pass away without one, then that can leave, complexities that you don't want for your family members that are left. So yeah, there's certain things like that lawyers are always going to tell you, yes, get a will and get a cohab agreement. And it's not just because we want the business. You really need, to protect yourself and your family.
Amazing, amazing advice. I'll be making that appointment soon. I promise.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so what has surprised you the most about starting your own business and owning and operating a business?
I mean, it is a learning curve, going from just, an employee and providing that legal service to also business ownership, for sure, balancing out that work and the service to the clients, along with all of the things that come with business ownership that, you just don't think of. There's certainly been some surprises and a lot to learn, but it's been a real joy being able to work with everybody here, and to also, have your kind of own show and your own take on things, and that opportunity we've been really grateful for.
Awesome. And now, as a member at large of the Fall River and Area Business Association Board of
Hmm.
Directors, you are a committee chair for the events.
Yes, yeah. So
Awesome.
I'm thrilled to be on the board of FRABA now as a member at large, and events are something that I've always enjoyed being a part of, planning and coordinating. So I've joined that events committee, and we've got lots of things planned. The next big thing coming up for us is going to be, I think, well, we've got the tree lighting, which is a huge event coming up on, I think it's the 25th of November. Hope I didn't
Yep.
get that
November
wrong.
25th from
Uh,
4:30 to 8:30, I think, or 4:30 to 6:30 p.m.
Yeah, fantastic. So that's exciting. And so the events committee is going to try to help that with the tree lighting committee with that. And then the other thing we're going to have is the Light Up the Holidays contest, which is, well, it was a contest. So that's the change for this year. This year, it's going to be a showcase. So we're going to ask as many homes in the area to participate as they want to, in terms of decorating their houses up beautifully for Christmas. And there will be a map, and you can take the tour of the community to see all of those homes that are decorated. We invite everybody that wants to enter. And this year, rather than a contest, it's going to be, as I said, a showcase, and then there'll be a draw. So any home that enters will be entered into a draw for a great grand prize.
Awesome. Well, I have to say, I think we have a really fun board put together this year. We've got some people who have come back from the past, and we've got some new, fresh faces. So it's so wonderful. I've enjoyed all of our board meetings, and I'm enjoying all the collaboration that we're doing. And of course, to our golf committee who rocked out an amazing golf tournament this year.
Amazing. Yeah. No, it's a really great board. It's a great group. And I think one of the best things about FRABA is about the local businesses supporting each other and supporting local and lifting each other up as much as we can. And so I think that's what's so great about this board and this community is how much we support each other.
Well, we are so glad that you joined FRABA, and we're also so appreciative of you joining the board as a member at large. Your contributions are very, very noticed, and we appreciate it so much. So thank you
Thank
so
you so
much,
much.
Jennifer. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you at the tree lighting.
Yeah, absolutely. See you soon. Thanks.
All right, take care.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good, bye.
Oh.